Today I'm going to be coloring up this really beautiful Mo Manning image. It's also was made into a stamp by Penny Black. I'll have all the information linked below, but this is kind of just a little bit about showing how to color red. We're going to use lots of red markers to create a beautiful strawberry. We're going to start with our darkest colors, and the biggest reason we're doing that is because red gets saturated or saturates the paper very quickly, and we don't want to have too much ink on our paper, or we're going to end up with red bleeding in places we don't want. I'm also going to ignore all of the seeds right now because we're going to go back in and add those back in with a white gel pen later. It would be really hard to color around them. So I'm just flicking along the bottom because in my imagination this is where it would be the darkest. So that's creating our shadow. Now I just realized she's sitting on the strawberry and she's going to create a shadow. So we need to create some shadow up here along the edges of her. I don't want it to be a huge shadow. I want this to be a bright, cheery card. So we're only putting down a little bit of the R59. This is also a very dark color, and strawberries are not that burgundy, they're red, so we want to keep with that theme. And this is R29. This is what I think of when I think of like Christmas red. And notice I'm starting back and pushing out that R59. I'm pushing that towards the center of the strawberry, and we're going to keep doing that as we go. And this is what's going to create our gradient or our blend. So I think that's pretty good. Now R24 is again a lighter red. I'm still pushing that color towards the center of the strawberry. So just pushing it towards the center of the strawberry. And now we're going to go down to R14, which is even lighter. Still getting my strokes from back here, pushing that darker color forward. That really pretty blend. So right here I'm using my lighter color to blend out a little bit of those strokes that I see, but we're doing pretty well. Now we're going to go down to R02 and we're going to color in the rest of the strawberry. Now we're going to blend over this. Don't think we're done here, but we don't want it to be white, so I want to get that to be at least a light pink. Now I'm going to take R05 and R05 and R02 blend in really well. And I'm pushing that color forward and blending it with the R02. I'm kind of making my highlight here. So this is going to be the latest part of the strawberry. And we can always come back with R05 if we need to darken it up. I'm going to do it just a little bit here. Okay. So I think that's a really cute looking strawberry. I like that a lot. So we're going to let that dry. Okay, next I'm going to work on her skin. I'm choosing E11, E42, E44, and E40. This is 44. Coloring dark skin is challenging. You know, I think coloring skin is challenging. I think coloring darker skin is even more challenging. You don't want to get it too dark, and you don't want it to be too light. And darker colors are less forgiving than lighter colors. So I am just putting E44 along the edges of her face to make them more round. And then I'm going to put an extension. This is called implying a nose. I'm just kind of making a little like semicircle that would follow the continuation of her nose. And I am going to put a little bit on the top of her nose. Then I'm going to come in with E42 and start flicking in and blending this out. Trying to be very careful not to lose her eyes completely. And then I'm going to go in with E40. Now this is definitely not dark enough, but that's okay. I can go back in and add darker tones, but I didn't want to go overboard and then be sorry. So she kind of looks, I don't know what she looks like, but that's not human. Let's make her human. So now I'm flicking in a little bit more of E44, knowing I need more of that dark tone. Don't forget the crown in her head. Oh, that was a little bigger than I wanted, that line. Still gonna leave that. Taking E42. I might need to grab E43 here. I think I might. I think 42 is too light. Let me grab 43. I'm not liking how light the 42 is. That's better. And I decided not to leave her eyes completely white. I went over them with E40. I just thought they were too bright. I'm going to come in with a little bit of E11 and flick that in, and it's going to make her cheeks rosy. Actually, I really like that. It warmed up the whole thing. I'm going to add more E11 on the sides of her face. I really like how that made it. We just kind of added some warmth to this. So I'm just, I think she really came alive when we did that. Very cute. What an adorable little girl. All right, so let's continue on with her skin. So we have her neck. We'll do her neck and arms together. Let's see. The shadow would be in the back of her arms and on the bottom of her arms. And these are smaller spaces than her face. So we want to be mindful of that. I'm just going to fill. So her neck only has E44 and E43, but I'm going to leave room for E42 on her arms. So there is a highlight. Awesome. Cute. All right, and lastly we have her legs. So again, starting in the shadows, which would be the bottom part of the leg, where her legs are crossed. I'm going to flick along that line. And come in with E43, continue to push that up. .42. So I don't think those legs look like they match that body, so I'm gonna go back in with my E44 and darken them up. This is looking better. I think leaving E40 out might be a good idea. It kind of washes her out a little bit. I didn't care for that when I added the E40. I think now when I add in the E43 and 42, that is more realistic skin tone. I am going to put a little bit of E11 on the bottom of her foot. I feel like our feet are more pinky, like kind of like, I don't know, they're not like our cheeks, but I might add a little bit in here just to warm it up. I think that looks wonderful. I'm going to add it to her arms too. I really like how the E11 undertone kind of just brightens her skin tone up a little bit. I am going to use E40. I don't like that white spot on her foot, but I think that all looks like it goes to the same person now, and I really like the warmth in there. Okay, great, so we can put our skin tones away. Okay, so let's do the leaves on the strawberry, and I'm going to start with YG63 as a shadow. This is one of my favorite greens. I use this green a lot. And I'm flicking it in where the base of the leaf is attached to the strawberry. And I'm also flicking along the vein because usually the veins in plants are darker than the rest of the leaf. Now I'm using YG25 and I'm going to push that color out. And this is not a normal blend, but I love these colors together. I think it gives a real earthy green. Hopefully I'm keeping my hand out of the way. I'm trying very hard to keep my hand out of the way so you can see. And then I'm going to finish it off with YG23. Being very careful not to pull red into our leaves. And I'm going to come back in with YG63 because we blended that out so much, and darken these up a little bit. Want that olivey tone back in there. And anywhere it's harsh, I'm blending it out a little bit, but for the most part, I'm leaving that. So now we have our little leaves done. While we are here, let's do the ground and get that done. My favorite ground is W3, W1, sometimes W5. I think let's add a little bit W5, not a lot. W5 is very dark. Again, we're trying to keep this to be very cheerful. So that's a tiny bit of W5. Coming in here with W3 and blending that out. And then lastly W1. Now our strawberry is grounded. How cute. I'm using N9, N7, N5, and N3. And the first thing I'm going to do here is color the entire thing with N3 because I don't want her to have any white spots in her hair. You could leave that as a highlight. Personally, not my coloring style. I think that looks extreme. If I want a real small highlight, I can go back and add that with a gel pen, but in general, I mean, I have done it, but it's not something I like to do often. I think it doesn't look, I don't know, I think it's distracting rather than, you know, adds anything. So I'm just adding N3 as a base coat. Okay. And I'm going to give that a second to dry. Actually, I'm going to get my greens out real fast. I'm going to do her little ponytail holders in these, the same greens as we did the strawberry. So this is a little bit of YG63. And just blend that out with YG65. Just real. So her hair looks curly to me. So one of the things I'm going to do is kind of to draw in little like curly cues. And I'm following the pattern that is, you know, her hairstyle. So I'm going in the direction that the hair grows. And I'm just adding in these little wispies. Oh, I missed a little piece here. Okay, and that's layer number 2. And now I'm going to come in with N7, which is darker. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but my wispies are going to get bigger. So you can see some of the other colors underneath. And this gives her hair some texture. So our highlight isn't a traditional highlight in this case. Our highlight is buried within. So we have lighter and darker colors. The trick to this is to make it look random. So I'm not drawing stripes. We're not making her a zebra. We are just adding little curly cues. And as you can see, it doesn't have to be super perfect. Isn't she? She's getting cuter and cuter. All right, I am going to let this dry before I put the last coat on. So let's work on her shirt. So YG3, YG6, and YG9. And obviously in the darkest places, we're going to put our YG9, which is going to be towards the bottom. And I love these colors. They are so bright and happy. These are my spring greens, I call them. And then I'm going to take YG06 and I'm going to start flicking up. And again, the strawberry and I think the girl's face are the highlights of this card, or the focal point of this card. So that's where we're going to spend most of our time. Her dress in this case, or, you know, is not the, you know, what we want people to see first. So you're not going to put as much detail in the dress as you are the strawberry, you know, and her face. Those are the things you want people to see first. So we have a really simple, cute dress. And for her wings, I wanted to pull in a tiny bit of the red of the strawberry just to kind of make her feel like she is specifically a strawberry fairy. Not just any fairy, but a strawberry fairy. So I'm going to take the R05, which was one of the lighter reds, and right when it's closer to her body, we're going to just put very tiny bits of red. And then we're going to carry that out with R02. We're going to go a little farther. So it's more pink than red, but there is that little bit of red tone to it. And then I decided I was going to add some Y11, because when I add Y11 in, when we mix these colors, it's going to look a little bit orange. So here I'm taking my Y11 and flicking it in, and then I'm going to come back with my RO2, and where they overlap, you can kind of see that it has like a little bit of an orange hue. Or peach. Maybe peach is a better word. It's not really orange. It's like a peach, but I really like the color of her wings. So again, I'm starting on the outside and I'm flicking in farther than I want my yellow to show. And then I'm coming back over with my RO2, being very careful not to completely wipe out my Y11. And now we have some cute little fairy wings. But I feel like that just pulls it all together. I'd love to know what you think. Those are the little fun things I really enjoy thinking about, and I always wonder, if anyone notices that. All right, so I think the hair is probably dried enough. And now I'm coming in with my R9, and these are gonna be very small. I'm holding my pen almost up and down, and I'm adding in little ringlets because her hair is black, so we want the darker colors to show more. So you can see I've done this one section compared to the other. This looks more gray, this looks more black. Flip this around so I think you can see. I always want to make the crown of the head the darkest. I feel like that's true when you look at people, where the hair attaches to the center of our head tends to be darker than other places. It gets the least amount of sunlight, I guess. Okay. You know, I've even been tempted to go back in. Let's let that dry and add even a black on top. I like that, and I think that looks really cute, and that's what I did in my original, but I think we could add another layer of black and get away with it. But while we were waiting for that to dry, I'm going to get out my white gel pen, and wherever the artist put these little seeds, I'm going to add them. Now, seeds are not all the same white, right? They're some are brighter than others, and in the shadows I imagine they wouldn't be as bright. I don't know if you know this about gel pen, but you can put gel pen on, and then if you use your finger to tap it, it mutes it a little bit. So I'm just muting them a little bit with my finger because I don't want them to be the focal point, and I'm kind of trying to make them smaller, and then as I go out here, they're fine. I'm going to leave them as they are. Might mute that one because it's in the shadow. So just wherever it's the darkest, I'm tapping it with my finger. And here. And it still stays white, but it's just softening it ever so slightly. And I'm going to just add a few little lines to my leaves here just because it's fun. Go all the way up. Trying to think if there are any other, oh, we could do it on our, how sweet. All right, so we can put our gel pen away, and I am going to go back in with this darker one just because it's fun. So we're going to do even less of this. I love layer of colors, and I'm only doing a very little bit, and this is black, like 100. I almost never use this, but thought in this case it was the perfect opportunity. And I'm only doing it very little. And this is, you know, the stuff that's the most shadowed of her hair. But I think it makes it even better. You tell me. You're like, Chris, it didn't make any difference. Very cool. So let's assemble our card. I'll do that real fast and then show you the finished product so you can see it. Before I put glue on here, if you're new to Copics, I wanted to show you this. No matter what you do, your ink is always going to show on the back of your panel. And I just wanted you to show this is what mine looks like. This is completely normal. And you should be able to see, this is a good test. I can see where my shadows are. I can see where my highlights are. You're even on the girl, you can see the shadows of her legs and around her face. So it's really a nice way to kind of check yourself as you're going. Okay, it's all glued together. I had to use a little extra glue to get my rhinestones to stick. And they're kind of slipping all over the place. And I can trim off any excess green that is showing. And there we go. We have our finished card. I'd love to hear what you think about it. I'd love to hear, if, you know, what problems you have, questions. Let me know. Talk to me. What would you like to see me do or color? All right. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.